Hey, hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Tobias, and on my channel I simply talk about music. And as an added bonus, I'll throw in some Swinglish here, some Swinglish there, but that's just my Swedishness coming through, so we just have to live with it. It's just the way it is. Well, today I want to keep things a little bit more simple. I want to talk about buying music, where I usually buy my music, or my records, that is. And I also want to do a shameless plug for one of my favorite independent record stores in the town where I live, which is in the UK, and the town is called Reading. And when it comes to buying records, the few independent record stores that we have here in Reading doesn't sell any new albums. So if I want to buy something new, I usually go to the artist's website, pre-order it, order it there. I can also walk into my local HMV, order it through Amazon online. So those are basically the options that I have if I don't want to go into London, of course, but that's going to cost me extra money. And as we all know, records, especially vinyl records that I mainly collect, it's stupid expensive today. It's just ridiculous. So that's one of the reasons I don't do it that often. But let me tell you, this spring and leading up to summer, there's been a lot of interesting releases. So some of them I had to just hold back on and buy at a later point because it is so expensive. But now to independent record stores. The reason I love going into them is because the variation of records. Here in Reading, like I said, they may just have second-hand or vintage records, call them what you want. But the variation is so great when you walk into it. You don't know what you can expect when you're going through the crates in an independent record store. When you go into HMV, for example, you will only get mainly new stuff, right? Of course, you can get some older stuff as well, but that's usually reissues and so forth and so on, and it doesn't get less expensive. So that's why I love going into an independent record store. And just the fact that you're supporting an independent store, I think that is so, so important. We want them to stay on our high street. So yeah, that's why, of many reasons. So now back to my favorite independent record store here in town, and as I said, there is a couple of them, but I'm just going to highlight one of them today, and not just because it's my favorite one, because it is, but also because they have a yearly event that's nearly upon us now, so I want to promote that as well. And before we continue, no, I'm in no way, shape or form paid by them. I'm not promoted by this shop at all. This is just me talking about where I usually get my records and why I think it's such a great shop to begin with. The record shop in question is called The Sound Machine. And if you've never been to Reading and you're traveling here by train, let's say, and you jump off at the Reading train station, it's just a stone's throw away from that station. It will take you 2 or 3 minutes just to walk over to something called Harry's Arcade. You walk through that arcade, there's a couple of small businesses in there, and all of a sudden, there it is, The Sound Machine. And this is a small store, but it's jam-packed with great records. They got everything that you can think of, cassettes, CDs, they got 7 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, albums, picture disc, you name it, in all different genres that you can think of. It's such a great little shop. And if I haven't said it, the staff is great, always very helpful, very nice people. And when it comes to the standard on these second-hand records, in my experience, it's always very, very good. I never seen or bought anything that was subpar in any way, shape or form. But of course, like most people, I check the records before I buy them. But like I said, in my experience, they have a really good standard there when it comes to the records. And if it happens to be a bit subpar, you know, the sleeve might be a bit worn, or the record itself, they always make a point to inform us about this, because I've seen they have crates where it says these are really good records, but they are not in really good nick, and they price them accordingly and so forth and so on. But of course, as usual, when you buy something secondhand, it's always a good thing to just pull them out, because what's good standard to me might not be good standard to you, and so forth and so on. So yeah, but that's just my experiences of this. When it comes to the yearly event that I mentioned before, this is something that's been going on for the last 6 or 7 years, I think. It's called Vintage Vinyl Weekend, and to me it's really big. I will do a stupid comparison here. It feels a bit like Record Store Day. It's not Record Store Day, of course, it's Vintage Vinyl Weekend, but the feeling is there. It's not like people are starting queuing outside the shop at crazy hours now, because usually an hour or two before you can come and stand in line. There's a lot of fellow record collectors there, and you talk about what you're looking forward to for this Vintage Vinyl Weekend and so forth and so on. So it's really, really great. And now to the dates. It's on the 29th of June, so it's this month. It's just not even 2 weeks away. And then on the 30th as well, they open both Saturday and Sunday, so you can come there and visit them. And I will have the times put up here, so it will remind us all. Yeah, so what is this all about? Because I haven't really explained it yet. No, so what they do is that leading up to this Vintage Vinyl Weekend, they travel the country, meeting up with collectors who are willing to depart with their collections, and they buy them off them. And it's not your, I would say, run-of-the-mill, in lack of better words, collections. It's really, really nice collections, usually people who took really well care of their records, and usually very rare records as well. But you could get everything, high and low, really. So it's not just rare records, but it's good collections that they gather leading up to this Vintage Vinyl Weekend. I'll stop talking about that now. And so what they do also leading up to this weekend is that they have a big sale 2 or 3 weeks before the Vintage Vinyl Weekend, where they try to clear as much as possible from the store, because you need to make room for these collections that are going in and that we are going to be presented with. And we have no clue, because they hardly ever say anything about what they're gonna have in stock. So it's like Christmas in the middle of a summer for us record collectors. Yeah, so that's basically what happens. So like I said, it's on the 29th and 30th of June. So they had a sale now going on for a while, just to try to clear as much as possible. And this week, because this is the last week they're gonna stay open, because I think next week they are going to be closed, so they can just put in those collections that they bought and get everything ready for Vintage Vinyl Weekend. So this is the last week. So if you're in the Reading area, get there, because they have 75% off every vinyl. I did a couple of really nice finds there as well when I was there. Yeah, so now is the time to act. And then, of course, we're all going to meet up, right, for Vintage Vinyl Weekend. We'll stand in line, talk about records or whatever, and then afterwards we can compare and see what we got. Did you get that grail that you were looking for and all that? So yeah, it's just great. A great event that they're putting on every year. So yeah, that was my shameless plug for one of my favorite independent record stores here in Reading. I also thought that I could contribute to this, but I'm not sure if what I'm going to show you now is going to be there on the Vintage Vinyl Weekend, or they already started selling them. But I had a couple of records here in my collection that's just been collecting dust, really. A couple of them I had doubles of for some reason. So I thought, yeah, I'll depart with them, because some of them I have on CD, and I prefer to listen to them on CD, lo and behold. Some of them I actually prefer listening to the CD version. So yeah, so I thought, yeah, I'll take them down and see if they want them. and this is what I brought them. Like a Virgin with Madonna, a brilliant album. This one reissued on clear vinyl, and for some reason I had 2 of these in my collection. Don't know why. Perhaps I picked it up because I thought, oh, I didn't have the clear vinyl variant of it, but I did. So this is still sealed, by the way. So, but a really good record and a good pressing as well. Another one I'm going to depart with because I have it on CD and I prefer listening to this one on CD, but I bought this one back in the day when it was released. This is Black Dog Productions, Bites, a really, really good album from Warp Records. But I never put this vinyl on anymore. If I want to listen to Bites, I put on the CD, so I'm going to depart with this one. A bit of nice electronica there for you. And another electronica 12-inch album. I think we can call it an album. This is Richie Hawtin's Concept 1 project from, was it released in 1996? I think so. Anyhow, this, I love myself a bit of Richie Hawtin, and I do have a lot of his records in his different disguises or different names. But this is one that I haven't put on since I bought it. It really never grabbed me back then. I listened to it now once, and no, still doesn't grab me. So this one is going to the Sound Machine as well. On the topic of electronica, this one is another one that I also have on CD. Love this album, Polygon Window, Surfing on Sine Waves. This is the original one, the original first pressing, I would say, from Warp Records back in the day. Was it 93 he released this one? Yeah. Anyhow, it's a really good one, but once again, if I want to listen to it, I put on the CD. So there you go. But it's a really nice presentation, and it's in really good nick as well. Of course, it is that nice gatefold cover of Richard there storming down what looks like stairs to the Tube in London or somewhere else. But yeah, really, really good album from Aphex Twin, Richard D. James, or Polygon Window, as he is called on this one. So this one I'm handing in there as well, so you can grab that from Sound Machine. More Aphex Twin. On this is, I think, the second 12-inch from On, because they released 2, and I'm handing in both of them. So this one just comes in a standard 12-inch sleeve, one of those thin ones. But the first, oh, everything's falling here. The first one that was released, this one, came in a gatefold cover. Really, really nice illustrated. I love the illustration on this one, but it is designed so you can hold both 12 inches here. So if you manage to pick up both of them, you can hold them in this one, and they're both in really good condition as well. This is another one. I've never been a huge fan of everything that Aphex Twin does. Some releases I have, some I skipped out on. This one I picked up because at the time I thought it was quite interesting, but I found myself over time not putting this on as much as, no, it just didn't grab me really. So On both 12 inches is going to be available at the Sound Machine. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to be for the Vintage Vinyl weekend or they're going to put them out for sale earlier than that. And speaking of electronica, here's another one. Weird Swedish release, which is called Clouds of Europe. It's Aquarian 001, the only 12-inch they released. And I happen to be one of the artists on this one, but I do have a spare copy of this one, so I'm going to hand this one in as well. And see if anyone wants to pick it up. It's got some really good tracks, and I'm not patting my own back here, but there are some other artists on this one that's really, really good. Thank you, Tobias from the past. I now come home from the Sound Machine, and there was a couple of more records. I just show you the ones that I thought was really interesting, but I also had a bunch of Rough Trade exclusives. A couple of years ago, I joined Rough Trade Record of the Month Club, or whatever it was called. You were sent a record each month. It could be any genre, really. A couple of them were hits with me, but most of the time it was misses, so I unsubscribed to that. And they just been sitting here as well. And I thought, why? Yeah, no, support your local independent record stores and go and sell your records to them. I think that's it for today. We've been talking a lot about buying music and a lot about my favorite independent record store in Reading. But I haven't forgotten about the other independent record stores that we have here, or the other places where you can buy used records, secondhand records, vintage records, call it what you want. No, I will do a special this summer where I will go around and visit the different places where you can buy records here in Reading, because I think it's so important, like I said, to support these independent retailers. Yeah. And when it comes to find out more about this particular store that I talked about today, I'll put a link down in the description if you want to check it out. But that's it. Like I said, a big thank you for watching yet another video with me talking about music. And a huge thank you to all of you who are subscribing to my channel. Really warms my heart. So if you really like what you're hearing and seeing, who knows, please do the same. Subscribe to my channel. It would really help me, and even a thumbs up if you like it. That means so much to me. And get those comments going. What are some of your favorite record stores? Have you ever been to Reading perhaps? Perhaps you can comment on that and so forth and so on. But I would love to see those comments get going. Yeah, that's it. So until next time, you all take care of yourself, and as usual, adieu.